It's a good commercial mix with just really weird, obscure issues that no one would really notice anyways. All right, JJ, here we go. We got another one. Low by KSI. People seem to be pretty receptive to it. And I can see why. It's a little less gimmicky than Thick of It, and he's not advertising Prime, I don't think. I wanted to give an audio engineer's perspective on it because there are some things that are pretty interesting about it. There are 3 things specifically I'm going to bring up in this video. I'm going to talk about the overall mix, the vocals, and then the bass / imaging of the song. So the overall mix in the song, it's pretty good. Like, it's a good pop mix. My only issue with it is that in the beginning, the kick's a little loud for the sub they have. They have that kick the same volume throughout the track, and that kick fits better with the sub at the end and the sub that starts at 1:27. It's more trappy sub, which I'll get into in a minute. But yeah, overall, the mix is clean. JJ's vocals, they sit well in the mix. Kick and snare are where they should be for that poppy mix. Again, I think if you're going to have that lower sub like they do in the first half of the song, I think that kick needs to be either a little quieter or that sub needs to come up. If it were me engineering it, I would bring the sub up. And then the other thing I noticed was that the guitar sample, I think it was caused by the guitar sample. There was some rumbling in the sub frequencies. You want to cut it out of everything. If you have a sub, that is the only thing that should be playing in that range of, 0 to 80, 0 to 100, roughly. It's always important to put a low cut where the lowest fundamental frequency of the sample is. For example, I'm singing, the lowest note I sing is a D. I'm going to cut right before that D. And that's just to make sure that your sub stays clean and that when you turn it up to like loud volumes, you're not getting weird rumbling in like big monitors. Like on phones, sub doesn't exist on phones, so you're not going to hear it on your phone. If you're listening to it in like a nice sound system or maybe headphones that boost the bass a little bit, you might pick up on it, but it's like not a huge deal. And then the next thing I wanted to talk about was the vocals. I think JJ did a good job, or at least his engineer did a good job. This style of vocal where it's clean, it's clear, not overly crisp. JJ's vocals sound nice, and the way they did the auto-tune, the pitch correction, was probably something like Melodyne or Flex Pitch in Logic, like something where they can draw it in rather than like letting a Waves auto-tune, for example, just like figure it out. The only thing about it isn't really an engineering thing. I wish JJ's vocals were a bit more clear. I think that's one thing he could work on is pronunciation. It's definitely a new artist trait to have, is like not being able to enunciate your words as well as you should be. It's like, again, not the end of the world. It's not like a horrible thing. It's just like a little nitpicky thing I think JJ could improve on. And you can actually fix this in post. It's not recommended at all because it sucks. You shouldn't do it. Like, you shouldn't do it unless like someone either pays you a lot of money or you have a lot of time on your hands. But I mean, overall, like the vocals are nice. They're nice. They work well. And then the last thing I want to talk about was the bass. It's really interesting. So they do have a lot of issues with the bass. In the beginning of the song, the phase is horrendous. Like, it is almost perfectly out of phase in so many spots. And for those of you that don't know what phase is, a stereo signal will be played through the left speaker and the right speaker. If you're wearing headphones, it's going to get played on the left side and the right side. When you have a sound that's perfectly in sync, it looks like this. It looks like a wave. If you have a sub that's mono, it's going to be playing that in both speakers. The more you get out of phase, I'll put up a picture. What happens is the frequency that's getting played out of one speaker, it's getting played exactly the opposite out of the other speaker. And that cancels the sound out. The thing about phase cancellation is that if you play it on a mono system or a portable speaker, it's gonna automatically make the song mono. And what's gonna happen is you're gonna get the phase cancellation and the sub is, or whatever's out of phase, it's gonna be super quiet or not even existent. So that happens in this song at the beginning especially. It's just weird. Like, someone should have picked that up. Like, it's okay to have a sub that's a little out of phase. It's just good to make your basses and your subs mono, at least the sub part of it and the low end. Yeah, it's weird that no one caught this because it should have been caught. That's probably one of the biggest issues with the song, I would say, is the bass imaging. It's weird also that they switched the sub like halfway through the song, specifically at 1 minute 27 seconds. They go from that guitar sub or whatever sub they're using, they switch to like a regular sine wave, and then they keep that sub, and then they go back to the old sub, and then there's some phase cancellation, and then the sub they play at the end, it's almost like a third sub. It's like a mix of the trappy sub and the really out of phase sub. So the third sub at the last chorus, it's fine. Like, it's way better than the first chorus, and it's actually hitting the same level as the kick. That's about what you want in your mixes. So the third chorus, is great. It's mixed as it should be. It's just weird that like the rest of the song isn't like that. Yeah, and then at the third chorus, like because the sub is proper, now the kick is not out of the mix like in the beginning of the song. Overall, like I said, it's a good song. I much less writers, which I appreciate. I think this song only had 5 writers, including JJ himself. So I respect that more than the 12 or 13 writers that were on Thick of It. So as far as audio engineer rating goes, this song, I would give it an 8 for its ability to be received well by most people. And the 2 that it misses are literally just like weird stuff. Again, that gets fixed in the third chorus. So I don't, I don't really understand.